The hospital was quiet in the early morning, but it was the kind of quiet that still carried weight. The hallways were bright and clean, with white lights that reflected on shiny floors. Nurses walked fast, doctors spoke in calm voices, and machines beeped in steady rhythms. It was the kind of place where life and death stood very close to each other. Seoul National Medical Center, one of the most respected hospitals in Korea. And in the administrative wing where files, reports, and decisions lived, worked Dr. Seo Jae-won. People spoke of him often, but always in whispers. He could have been the best neurosurgeon. The best. It is strange. A man with hands like that doing paperwork. No one knows why he stopped surgeries. Jae-won heard these whispers sometimes, but he never reacted. His face stayed calm, cool, and quiet. His dark hair was always neat, his white coat clean, his eyes sharp but distant. He looked like a man who kept everything locked behind a door that no one could open. He spoke little. He smiled even less. But he worked hard, maybe harder than everyone. He spent long hours sitting at a desk, reviewing medical records, checking case reports, guiding other doctors on safer methods. He was respected, yes, but in a distant way, like someone looking at a star from far away. A star that could not be touched. On that same morning, a new intern stepped into the hospital lobby. Dr. Adana Chukwu. She stood still for a moment, holding her folder close to her chest. She took a deep breath. She had dreamed of this place for many years. The clean hallways, the white coats, the busy doctors. It all felt so big and exciting. And also scary. Adana was from Nigeria, and she had traveled far to study and grow. Her skin was warm brown, her eyes bright and full of curiosity. She walked with purpose, but her heart beat fast with nervous hope. She wanted to learn. She wanted to help. She wanted to prove herself. Even though deep inside she carried a quiet fear too. One she tried every day to hide. She followed the supervisor down the hallway. Her footsteps were light but quick. When they reached the administrative office, the supervisor spoke softly. "You will be assigned to work under Dr. Seo Jae-won." Adana blinked. "Oh, the famous one." The supervisor gave a small smile. "Yes, famous in many ways." She did not explain more. The door opened. Jae-won was sitting at his desk looking at files. He did not look up immediately. Only when the supervisor spoke did his eyes rise, slow and unreadable. "Dr. Seo, this is your new intern. Dr. Adana." His gaze moved to Adana. Her breath caught for just a moment. Something about him felt cold like winter air. Not cruel but distant. As if his heart stood behind a thick glass wall. She smiled brightly and bowed slightly. "It's an honor to meet you, Dr. Seo. I look forward to learning from. You'll follow instructions exactly," he said, voice flat and calm. "Ask only when necessary. Do not slow down the department." Her smile paused in the air. "Yes, of course," she answered, trying to keep her voice steady. He looked back to his papers. The meeting was over. The first day was fast and tiring. Everyone walked quickly, spoke quickly, and acted quickly. Adana tried to keep up. She took notes, asked questions, watched everything. And she watched him. Not because she was in awe, but because she was curious. He moved with precision. Every step had a reason. Every word was enough but not more. He never wasted time. Never wasted emotion. He was calm, too calm. But when doctors discussed surgery, something changed. His shoulders tightened. His jaw locked just a little. His eyes moved away just a fraction. Most people would not notice. But she did. She noticed because she knew what hidden fear looked like. She carried one herself. Maybe that was why she did not fear him like others did. Maybe that was why she saw him. That evening, during patient rounds, everything felt normal at first. They walked as a group, Jae-won, Adana, and 2 nurses. They checked charts, examined patients, gave instructions. Then a sound broke the calm. A child cried out. A small boy, maybe 10, sitting up in a hospital bed, shaking. The nurse beside him called out, "Something is wrong." Before anyone could move, the boy's nose began to bleed. First just a small trickle. Then more. Then faster. The sheets turned red. The small room seemed to shrink. One of the nurses grabbed gloves and reached for supplies. Another doctor called for assistance. And Jae-won stopped moving. His hands, which were steady and trained, began to shake. His eyes were locked on the blood. His breath grew sharp, fast, uneven. Adana watched him. Everyone else was looking at the child. Only she noticed him. His fingers trembled. His throat tightened. His body swayed just a little, as if the world had tilted. He looked like a man standing on the edge of a cliff. For a second, he was not a doctor. He was a child again, seeing red, feeling helpless, losing everything. Just 1 second, but she saw it. She stepped closer, not to take over, but to anchor him. Her voice was soft, so soft that only he could hear. Dr. Seo. He blinked, still frozen. Her eyes met his. Warm, steady, firm. You're not weak, she whispered. You're scared. There's a difference. His breath caught like the world had stopped. No one had ever spoken to him like that. Not in all the years since the accident. Slowly, he looked away from the blood. His hands lowered. He stepped aside. Another doctor took over and helped the child. But the moment had already changed something. The air felt different. Something invisible had cracked. Not broken, not destroyed. Just cracked. Like the first line in ice before spring. Later, when the hallway was quiet again, and the emergency had passed, Adana walked beside him. Not close but not far. She did not speak. And he did not thank her. But he glanced at her. Not cold. Not distant. Not empty. Just seeing. As if, for the first time, someone had touched a part of him that had been locked away for many years. Adana felt it too. A pull. Soft but strong. Not love. Not yet. But something that wanted to grow. That night, when Jaewon sat alone in his office, he stared at his hands. The hands that once saved lives. The hands that once trembled at blood. He remembered her voice. Warm. Simple. True. You're not weak. You're scared. He closed his eyes. And somewhere deep inside, the door he locked long ago shifted. Just a little. The first crack in his walls appeared. Night fell over Seoul, and the hospital lights glowed like stars trapped inside windows. The halls were quieter than the day, but they never truly slept. Nurses walked softly. Machines beeped in calm, sleepy rhythms. The world felt slower. Adana was finishing chart notes in the hallway. Her eyes felt heavy from the long shift. She yawned and stretched her shoulders. But then, a loud alarm shattered the quiet. Voices shouted. Shoes slammed against the floor. Doors swung open. Someone yelled loud and urgent. Bus accident incoming. Many patients. Prepare the ER. The calm night broke into chaos. Adana's heart jumped. Her body stiffened. She remembered another hospital. Another emergency. Patient she could not save. The memory pushed into her mind like a dark wave. Her breath began to speed. But there was no time to freeze. Nurses rushed past her. Carts rolled. Doctors shouted orders. The air smelled like metal and fear. She followed the team to the emergency room. The doors burst open. They came in. Victims. Many. All crying, bleeding, shaking. A young woman held her stomach, blood soaking her shirt. A man had glass stuck in his arm. Someone screamed for their child. Someone else cried with no sound at all. The ER filled fast. Too fast. There were not enough doctors. Adana's hands shook. But she moved. She helped lift a stretcher. She held pressure on a wound. She called for gauze and gloves. Her heart raced, but her mind tried to fight the panic. Then she saw him. Dr. Seo Jae-won stepped into the room. His face was calm but too calm. His eyes scanned the scene like someone searching for the safest place to stand. He did not want to be here. He was trying to stay near the wall away from the blood. But fate did not let him. A patient on a nearby bed began to seize. The woman's body shook uncontrollably. Blood spilled from her scalp wound. The nurse beside her cried out, "We need help. Someone hold her head now." Jaewon was the closest doctor. He froze. His breath turned sharp. His chest rose too fast. His hands trembled again, just like before, small shakes but strong enough to stop him. His eyes locked on the blood. Red. Shiny. Moving. Growing. Just like that night. His parents' faces flashed in his mind. Their hands reaching. His small voice screaming. The dark road. The cold air. The red puddle. He couldn't breathe. He took one step back. Just one. But it was enough. Adana saw it happen. She dropped the supplies she was holding and moved toward him fast. Not running, but with purpose. No one else noticed him. Everyone was busy with pain and cries and saving lives. But she noticed. She always noticed. She reached him right as he was about to step back again. Her hand caught his wrist. Firm. Warm. Certain. He jolted a little, surprised, but he did not pull away. The ER noise blurred. Her voice cut through it like a clear bell. Soft. Warm. Steady. Breathe. His breath hitched. She stepped closer. Close enough that he could hear her breathing. Close enough that her presence felt like a wall behind him, keeping him from falling. She held his wrist tighter, grounding him. I'm right here. His eyes flicked to hers. Her gaze was not scared, not judging, not demanding, just there. Calm, strong, safe. Then she said the words that broke through the storm inside him. Look at me. Not the blood. He inhaled sharply. Then again. Their breaths slowly matched. Her chest rose. His chest followed. Her breath slowed. His breath slowed. The chaos around them became background noise. It was just their breathing. In, out, slow, together. She nodded once. You can do this. Something inside him softened just a little. Not healed, not fixed, but steadied. He turned back to the patient. His hands were still trembling, but less. He moved closer, placed one hand under the patient's head, gave instructions clearly. Bring diazepam. Check airway. Control seizure rhythm. His voice returned steady, controlled, sure. Adana stayed close beside him. Their arms brushed sometimes. Neither stepped away. He worked. She assisted. They flowed like they had always been a team. The seizure slowed. The patient's body relaxed. The bleeding was controlled. The woman was stabilized. The ER exhaled in relief. A nurse whispered, stunned. Dr. Seo did a procedure. People stared. No one had seen him operate in years. But he did it. He really did it. Hours later, when the rush finally calmed, the ER lights dimmed again. The chaos faded to tired silence. Nurses cleaned. Doctors washed their hands. Bodies moved slower now. Adana stepped into the medical supply room, needing to catch her breath. She leaned against a shelf and closed her eyes for a moment. The door opened. She looked up. Jaewon stood there. His coat had a smear of dried blood on it. His hair was slightly messy. His hands were steady now, but his eyes were different. Softer. Open. Unsure. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. The small room felt even smaller now. They were standing close. Too close. Close enough to feel each other's breath. Neither spoke. Their breathing was still linked without even trying. Her chest rose. His chest followed. His eyes flicked to her lips for just 1 second. She saw it. But he looked away fast, as if punished by the thought. Not a kiss, but something stronger than a kiss. Silence held them like warm hands. Finally, his voice came out, quiet, almost surprised to be spoken. Why do you make it easy to breathe? He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at the floor. Like the words escaped from somewhere deep inside him. A place he did not open for anyone. Adana felt her heart move slow, warm, deep. Not fast. Not sudden. Just real. She did not touch him this time. She only whispered, because you deserve to breathe. His eyes lifted slowly. They looked at each other. No fear. No walls. No masks. Just two people holding scars the world couldn't see. They did not kiss. But they didn't need to. Their hearts had already taken a step. The days after the accident night felt different. Not loud. Not obvious. But different. Something quiet had formed between Adana and Jaewon. Like a warm thread connecting two hearts that did not know how to speak yet. They didn't talk about what happened in the ER. They didn't talk about the way their breaths matched. They didn't talk about how they stood so close in the supply room. But they felt it. The air between them was softer now. It began with small things. In the morning when they walked through the hospital halls, they walked side by side. Not holding hands. Not touching. But close enough that their shoulders nearly brushed. Sometimes their hands moved at the same time and stopped before they touched. Neither pulled away. Neither moved closer. Just almost. At lunchtime, they sat together. Sometimes they spoke, sometimes they did not. But the silence was never heavy. It felt warm like a blanket that wrapped around them. One afternoon, they shared coffee breaks near the window. The sunlight touched Jaewon's face, and he looked almost peaceful. Adana told him a story from her childhood about playing in summer rain with her cousins. She laughed while telling it, her smile wide and soft. And for the first time, he smiled back. Not a small, polite smile. A real one. It was small, gentle, quiet, but real. Surprised even him. Adana saw it and her heart warmed. Not fast. Not loud. Just warm. They began to stay in the hospital library late into the night. Books open. Laptops glowing softly. The world outside dark and quiet. Jaewon explained surgical theory carefully. He never rushed her. He never made her feel small. His voice was calm, slow, patient, like he was guiding her step by step across a bridge no one else had ever let her walk. He drew diagrams on paper. He pointed to models. He let her practice suturing motion on training pads. When her hands shook with nerves, he steadied them gently, his fingers just barely touching hers. Not long enough to be bold, but long enough to be felt. His hands were warm, steady, sure. Her breath always caught for a second. He felt it, but he didn't pull away. Sometimes when she studied, he just watched her quietly, not in a strange way, but in a way that said, "I feel calm when you exist near me." Adana noticed that too. He was her teacher, but he was also becoming her safe place. And she was becoming his. They never spoke about feelings. They never said words like love, like, or want, because both of them were afraid. He was afraid of losing someone again. She was afraid of failing someone again. So instead, they stayed in the space between, close enough to feel, far enough to not fall. But every day the distance grew smaller. One morning in a quiet hallway, two nurses whispered near the elevator. "Did you hear? Dr. Seo almost fainted again. He shouldn't be allowed near surgeries. He's dangerous." Someone else added, "A surgeon who fears blood? He's a liability." The words hit the walls like knife edges. Jaewon heard them. He did not stop walking. He did not react. But Adana did. Her heart tightened, sharp and protective. She understood now. Why he hid. Why he stayed behind walls. Why he chose silence. The world had sharp teeth. A meeting was called, a large one. Doctors, directors, and senior staff sat at the long table. The air was thick and serious. The hospital director spoke coldly. "Dr. Seo Jae-won has shown emotional instability. He cannot be expected to safely operate. We must reassess his role." Whispers spread. Some nodded in agreement. Jae-won sat still, like he had already accepted this fate. He did not defend himself. He just looked downward, tired. Before anyone could continue, a chair scraped loudly. Adana stood up. Her voice came strong, louder than anyone expected. "He saved a life." The room fell silent. When no one else could, he stepped forward. He did not run. He did not break. He saved that woman in the ER. Someone scoffed. "A single lucky moment does not." Adana cut him off. It wasn't luck. It was skill. Skill he worked years to earn. A skill many of you respected before rumors started to spread. The director frowned. "You are only an intern. This does not concern." She stepped closer to the table, her eyes bright and burning. "This concerns patience. This concerns truth. This concerns dignity. You want to remove a doctor who is more careful, more thoughtful, more dedicated than most of us here because of fear." Silence. No one expected her to fight for him. No one expected her to speak with fire. Jaewon looked up slowly. His eyes found her. And in that moment, something in him broke open. Not with pain, but with awe. Someone was standing for him. For him. Not for his skill. Not for his title. For him. The committee could say nothing. The director sighed. Discussion postponed. The meeting ended. But the moment did not. The hallway outside was empty and quiet. Adana walked slowly, her heart still pounding. Her hands were shaking a little, not from fear, but from how much she had felt. She wasn't sure if she had gone too far. She wasn't sure if she had crossed a line, but she knew she meant every word. Footsteps approached softly behind her. She she turned, Jaewon stood there. He didn't speak. He just looked at her like she was something he didn't know how to hold. Something rare. Something precious. Something frightening in its beauty. She opened her mouth to say something but stopped. There were no right words. So she just breathed. He stepped closer. Very slowly. Carefully. Like approaching something fragile. His hand lifted, hesitant, like he wasn't sure he had the right. Then his fingertips touched her cheek. Soft. Slow. Trembling. Her breath caught. His thumb brushed her skin. His voice was quiet, almost broken. Don't disappear from my life. Her heart swelled warm, full, aching. She didn't speak either. She just leaned just a little into his touch. Not a kiss, but something deeper. Something that said, I am here. I am not leaving. Not yet. Maybe never. It was early morning when the hospital halls were still soft and quiet. The sky outside was gray, half awake, and the world seemed to be holding its breath. Jaewon stood in front of the operating room doors. His hands were inside his coat pockets, but they were shaking. He had not done a real surgery for many years. He had practiced. He had studied. He had watched. But he had not touched. Not truly. Adana stood beside him, her scrub mask hanging around her neck. She looked calm, but inside her heart beat loud and quick. She knew today mattered. Not just to the patient waiting inside. Not just to the hospital. But to him. To the man whose hands were made for healing but whose heart had been torn apart by blood and memory. She stepped closer. Close enough for him to feel her warmth. You can do this, she said softly. He did not look at her at first. He stared forward, eyes blank, seeing something far away. A road, broken glass, the smell of smoke, a child's scream that felt like it still lived in his bones. But slowly he breathed out and turned his head. Her eyes were steady. Not pushing. Not forcing. Just there. He nodded once. They walked into the operating room. The lights were bright. The machines beeped. The nurses stood ready. Someone said his name. His title. Dr. Han, we are ready. His gloves snapped onto his hands. The mask covered half his face. Only his eyes were visible, and they were full of fear and fire at the same time. Adana stood opposite him, gloved and masked, her eyes only on him. The first cut was small. Just the beginning. But for him it felt like standing on a cliff edge. His breath began to shake. Blood rose beneath the skin. His vision blurred. For a moment, he almost stepped back. But then he heard her voice. Not loud. Not rushed. Just gentle. Breathe. I am right here. His breath slowed. 1, 2, 3. And his hands steadied. Step by step, the surgery moved forward. They worked like two parts of one whole. Her hands passed instruments before he could even ask. His eyes searched for hers when his fear rose, and she met him every time, grounding him. The nurses watched with silent awe. The room seemed to move around them, but they remained still, connected. Even the machines seemed to quiet as if listening to their breathing. And then, after long moments that felt like hours, he tied the last stitch. The surgery was done. The patient lived. The room seemed to exhale. The nurses smiled. Someone whispered, "He did it." But Jaewon did not celebrate. He simply looked up at Adana. His eyes were wet, almost shining. She smiled at him. A soft smile. Proud smile. They left the room together. Outside in the hallway, the light was gentler. The world felt wide and new. They stopped near the wall, both breathing slowly, hearts still racing but now with relief instead of fear. He looked at her like she was the sun he had not seen in a long, long time. His hand lifted, slow like he wasn't sure he was allowed. His fingers touched her cheek, soft, trembling. The world seemed to pause. It felt like a moment where two hearts leaned in, where lips could meet, where something new could begin. But before anything could happen, a voice called her name from down the hall. Adana. Her phone buzzed at the same time. She blinked, the moment breaking, and stepped back. She looked at the caller ID. Her throat went tight. "My father is here," she said quietly. Something shifted in her voice. Something uncertain. Something heavy. Jaewon did not understand it, but he simply nodded. "I can drive you," he said. She smiled a little, grateful. "Okay." They walked outside. The air was cool. The sky was now blue. The city was alive with sound. They drove in silence, but it was not uncomfortable. It was full of everything they could not say yet. When they reached the cafe, Adana stepped out first. She saw her father sitting at a small table by the window. He looked older than she remembered, more tired. His hair had more gray, but his back was still straight. He still carried himself like a man who had held life and death in his hands. She walked toward him. Jaewon followed. But the moment he saw the man's face, his body stopped. It was like cold water poured over him. His chest tightened. His breath froze. His vision tunneled until only one face remained. Not the present one, the one in his memory. Smoke, blood, a crushed car, a child crying and shaking. His mother's hand slipping out of his. His father's breathing fading. A hospital hallway. A doctor standing under harsh white lights. A 10-year-old boy begging with shaking hands. Please save them. Please. Please. The doctor's face had been calm. Too calm. Like a wall. His voice had been flat. There is nothing I can do. No tears. No fight. No hope. Those words had been a knife. That doctor, the man who let his parents die, sat in front of him now. Dr. Chukwemeka Chukwu. Adana's father. Jaewon took one slow, painful step backward. His eyes widened, empty and hurt and burning all at once. His breath came fast, sharp. The ground felt like it was tilting. Adana turned to him, confused. Jaewon? What's wrong? He could not speak. Her father looked up at him and froze too, recognition flickering, guilt rising like a shadow. Han Jaewon, the older man said softly. The sound of his name in that voice made the wound inside him rip open again. Adana looked between them, her stomach dropping. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Her father's face changed. Heavy. Sad. I remember you, he said. The boy from the accident. Adana's heart stopped. She looked at Jaewon, then at her father, her throat thick. No, she whispered, even though she already knew. No. Jaewon finally spoke, but his voice was soft and broken. You were the doctor. The one who did nothing. Her father closed his eyes, pain flickering, but he did not defend himself. Adana stepped forward, reaching for Jaewon's hand, but he stepped back again. Like her touch burned. Her heart cracked. Jaewon, wait please, she whispered. But he shook his head. His voice trembled like something inside him had shattered. I trusted you, he whispered. I let you close. I let myself breathe again. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't know. I didn't know, Jaewon. I swear. But he looked at her like he was breaking. I know, he said. But knowing did not stop the pain. He turned and walked away. Not fast. Not angry. Just hurt. Adana stood frozen. Her father lowered his head. The cafe felt too small, too cold, too quiet. She tried to call his name again, but her voice would not come out. Outside, Jaewon walked with silent tears falling, his chest tight like he could not breathe anymore. He had learned to breathe because of her. Now he could not breathe without her. And the world felt unfair and cruel. She stood in the doorway watching him walk away, her heart falling apart inside her chest. She did not chase him. Not because she did not want to, but because some pain cannot be touched. Some wounds must be felt. Their love did not break from anger. It broke from grief. And grief, when it comes from love, hurts the deepest. The distance between them had never felt so wide. And neither of them knew how to cross it now. It rained the next morning. Not a heavy storm, but a quiet, gentle rain that tapped softly on the windows of the hospital. The sky looked pale and tired, like it had cried all night and finally slowed down. The world felt slow and quiet, as if waiting for something important to happen. Adana walked through the hospital halls with a heavy heart. She hadn't slept. Her eyes were red and her chest felt tight. She kept thinking of Jaewon's face when he walked away. The pain in his eyes. The silence between them. She had never felt so helpless before. She found her father sitting in her small apartment living room. He had stayed the night. He looked older than she remembered yesterday. His shoulders were slumped, and he held his hands together like they were shaking. She sat across from him, knees close to her chest like a child again. Dad, she said softly. Tell me what happened that night." He closed his eyes. He looked tired, not just from age but from carrying something heavy for too long. "It was many years ago," he began. "I remember the boy. I remember his parents." Adana listened closely. She didn't blink. "There was a car crash on the mountain road," her father continued. "The parents were already hurt badly. Their blood pressure was dropping fast. Their organs had started shutting down. Even if I had tried to operate, they would not have survived." Adana frowned. "But the boy begged you. He was begging you to try." Her father's face broke. He nodded slowly, his voice cracking. "Yes. And that is what has haunted me, Adana. Not the failure, not the death, but the fact that a child looked at me like I was his only hope, and I walked away." Tears slid down his cheeks. He didn't wipe them. "I made a choice doctors make every day. A medical choice. A logical one. But I forgot he was watching. Children don't understand logic. They only understand hope." Adana felt her throat tighten. She reached for his hand. It was warm and trembling. "You regret it," she whispered. He nodded. "Every day since." The rain continued tapping softly against the glass. Adana breathed in slowly. She had to tell Jaewon. But she knew he didn't need medical facts. He didn't need reasons. He needed something his heart could understand. She stood up. "I have to go." Her father didn't stop her. He only whispered, "Tell him I am sorry. But I know that sorry will never be enough." She left the apartment, her steps fast and sure. She knew where he was. She always knew where he'd go when he was hurting. The rooftop garden. The place he once said was the only place he could breathe. When she reached the rooftop, he was there sitting on the bench, his back to her. His white coat was folded beside him. His head was lowered, his hands clasped in front of him. The rain had slowed to a mist, but his hair was still wet. She walked slowly, carefully, like approaching someone whose heart had broken open. "Jaewon," she said softly. He did not turn, but she knew he heard her. She came around and sat beside him. Not close, just near. Enough to show she was there but not pushing. They sat in silence for a long time. The wind moved gently around them. Finally he spoke. His voice was low and rough. "I was so small," he said. "I was so scared. I didn't understand why no one helped them. I thought if I begged hard enough someone would save them. But no one did." Adana's eyes filled with tears. She didn't interrupt. "I became a doctor because I wanted to save people. But every time I see blood..." His voice broke. He pressed his hand to his chest. "It feels like I'm 10 years old again. Watching them die all over again." Adana turned toward him slowly. Her voice was soft but steady. "My father told me the truth," she said. "He said they couldn't be saved. Not even with surgery." Jaewon's jaw tightened. His eyes filled with anger, pain, confusion. "I don't care about logic," he whispered. "I know they were dying. But he didn't try. He just walked away." His breath shook. His hands trembled. Adana did not tell him to stop. She did not tell him to calm down. She let him feel it. Because pain that is not felt cannot heal. She moved closer. Only then, only when he was ready, she took his hand and placed it over her heart. Warm, alive, steady. "You don't have to forgive what happened," she said softly. "You don't have to accept it. You don't even have to understand it." His eyes lifted to hers. Lost, vulnerable, young. But don't let the past steal the rest of your life. His breath hitched. He stared at her, like she was the only thing keeping him from falling apart. Her voice grew even softer. "You can't save the boy you were, but you can save the man you are now." His chest broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. His face crumpled and he leaned forward, pressing his forehead into her shoulder. His hands clutched her like he was drowning and she was the only thing keeping him above water. His tears came, real ones. Tears he had held for years. Tears he had buried behind walls so high no one could reach them. But she reached. She held him, not to fix him, not to tell him it would go away, but to tell him he was allowed to feel. He cried for his parents he couldn't save. He cried for the boy who had begged. He cried for the man who had learned to fear his own gift. She held him until his breathing slowed, until the shaking softened, until the pain didn't feel as sharp. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were red and tired but lighter. He looked at her, really looked at her. "You stayed," he whispered. She nodded. "Always." His hand lifted to her cheek, slowly, carefully, as if she were something precious. Their faces moved closer. The air felt warm, soft, and full of something deep. Their lips touched, not rushed, not hungry, but gentle, like two broken pieces finding where they belonged. The world felt quiet, warm, whole. Time passed. A few weeks later, the hospital buzzed with quiet excitement. Dr. Han was going into surgery, not a trial, not an emergency, a normal surgery. But this time his hands did not shake. He stood tall beneath the bright lights. His breath was steady. Outside the glass window, Adana watched, hands folded gently in front of her, a small smile on her lips. Her eyes glowed with pride and love. Inside the room, Jaewon worked with calm, sure movements. Step by step, cut by cut, stitch by stitch. His hands were steady. His heart was steady, because he had learned how to breathe again. Not alone, but with her. And this time, he did not fear blood. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to comment your thoughts and share what touched you most. Do not forget to like and subscribe to Jade Lantern Stories so more stories like this can be created. Your support means everything.